Welcome to the CXR channel, our premier podcast for talent acquisition and talent management. Listen in as the CXR community discusses a wide range of topics focused on attracting, engaging, and retaining the best talent. We're glad you're here.
Welcome everyone to our December CXR Connects, last one of the year, which I'm hoping 2021 is more prosperous for all of us. Today's going to be a little bit of a different conversation. The focus is going to be wellness in the workplace, but I don't have a lot prepared. Normally with CXR Connects, we give a lot of interesting data and statistics from our own research. This week, I'll be adding in others' research, much larger organizations than ourselves that specialize in this sort of field. But most importantly, I really want to hear from us. And I thought we can make this more of a communal conversation as opposed to simply just having set facilitators. I think this year has been crazy for all of us. And what I want to challenge everyone on the call to do is to share and ask questions. A lot of you are joining this call, I know, because you're hoping to get ideas. And some of you might already be doing a lot of good things with your teams that I'm hoping you can really share with other people, such as what are you doing to keep employees engaged, or just check on their mental health, or what is your organization doing? Do they offer any employee assistance programs? Etc. I think we can all learn from one another on today's call, and I'm excited to get started in doing so. All right, so I have a few slides before we get started. Just want to remind everyone that we have tons of great resources on our website. We have a really robust exchange. If you've been to the site today, you might notice a little bit of a fun gamification system we've added to the site. That's all I'm going to say. I hope you go out and start playing with our exchanges, and then you will definitely notice it. Also, our benchmarking reports, we just added a robust report around sourcing that we've been working quite hard towards. So would love it if you guys can take a look at that. And our 2021 calendar is getting posted on the web, so you can check out all the upcoming events we have in 2021. And recording of this and all of our other CXR Connects webcasts, as well as all of our meetings, are made available in our CXR library. All right, so I mentioned some of the exchanges. As always, we like to remind you we can carry the conversation over in our exchange. There are so many different types of exchange that you can join. In fact, we have 25. Chris, I think the best one for this conversation would be for us to go into the CXR member and alumni. And perhaps we can post some resources in that after this call. So we don't have any exchanges dedicated towards wellness, but that doesn't mean that all these other great exchanges that we have are off limits. But I'd like to keep this conversation going in our alumni exchange. All right, so before we dive in, I want to start with a little bit of a fun exercise. So Barb brought this exercise to my attention, and it came from Brene Brown. And it was one of Barb, can you put a little bit more context into what she does with this exercise?
So I was reading something from her. I actually listened to her podcast. I've read a couple of her books and of course seen her TED Talks. But she was talking about like a lot of it's the whole Zoom fatigue, and how, you'll start things out and you're waiting for everybody to get there. You're like, how you doing? And everybody always says, oh, I'm fine. And she was like, I quickly realized that we weren't really answering that question, honestly. So now she said she starts all of her team meetings with this question. It's what 2 words describe how you are feeling today? And she said that makes a huge difference. Lets you know if there's somebody you need to follow up with. Sometimes it starts a different conversation. Makes people feel not quite so alone. She gave an example, when she brought up the question, she said, for example, today I am feeling overwhelmed but happy. And, so they don't have to be like, both so the same. It's really just a way to describe yourself. 2 words on how you're feeling today. So as soon as I read it, I told Shannon, I'm like, I think this is actually pretty insightful and pretty simple. And then she was like, hey, fun, let's open up the meeting with it. So Shannon.
Yeah, no, let's do that. So if you participated in our CXR meetings this year that we've gone virtual with, we always start with a little bit of a check-in and networking session amongst each other with coffee. This time, you can bring a beverage of your choice. Like for instance, I have my tea right here, and we just all are going to get to know each other by describing what words describe us today. And please feel free to be honest. If you're overwhelmed, if you're sad, if you're happy, let us know. There is no right or wrong answer. We just want to start this exercise in hopes that you might carry it over with your teams if you like it as well.
Yeah, so I'll give you guys 5 minutes. I just threw you on the small breakout room so you could get some conversations started.
Thanks, Barb.
You bet.
Everyone enjoyed that exercise. I will say, at least I think for me, in what I did a lot of research in is that I think a lot of us are overwhelmed, not only with the whole pandemic and our changing schedules, but I think the majority of us have seen a huge increase in work. And that's exactly what the research that I want to share with you kind of showed. And so here are some interesting statistics and some takeaways that I wanted to briefly share. And I have some notes I jotted down as well. And also then I want to get into a group discussion for the remainder of this call. First off, I took a look at the Mental Health Index report. And I can include a link in the chat as soon as I stop presenting. But what they do is every month, and they're about 2 months behind. So next month, November will come out. So this are the results from October, is they measure the mental health amongst the workforce. And I thought this was rather interesting. Obviously, April was the most pressing time for a lot of people in the workforce, but October isn't that much better. And so basically bottom line is work has become more difficult for all of us. A lot of the stress and triggers that they talked about has a lot to do with the upper management level and also amongst diverse individuals. And so this takes a look at everything. And here are some of the statistics that I thought was interesting. According to employees, 80% believe that their employers are handling their health and safety well, which I thought was interesting because I saw another article quoted MetLife in this. Actually, I believe it was a study from Gartner that quoted MetLife that 41% said that employers are falling short. So there's a little bit of disconnect with these two different surveys, but you can kind of see that there's some room of improvement still. 43% relate their stress to increased workload. That same 43% said that they need some sort of mental health support. The biggest challenge right now was in terms of financial health and financial sustainability. 37% are experiencing some sort of burnout, especially at the end of the workday, and 32% find it very difficult to find motivation to complete their work.
So Shannon, just a question for you. Do you think that some of this is because most of people that are working from home full-time now are not used to working from home, and thus they're not turning it off? So they're working more than they would if they went into an office and left an office. Whereas I'm like, this room is the office, and when it's not office time, I'll come in here. I'll come in here.
I think a lot of it, Melissa, has to do, according to the article, and I probably read about 15 different reports to prepare for this call. A lot of it has to do with kids at home, the change in schedules, and the fact that they lost their social connections amongst their colleagues. And I think, yeah, for me, I'm someone, I hear you, Melissa, because when I leave my office, I've been working from home for 10 years. I'm done. But at the same point, I'm used to traveling. I'm used to being able to have a drink and stay up late with Jerry and Chris and Barb and all the fun stuff that we used to do on the road. And I didn't realize how important that was until we took it away. And I think when I saw the 32% lack motivation, that's immediately where my mind went as well, is you're working from home, you're away from your colleagues, and there's that laziness factor that has kind of taken in a little bit. And it is more hard, I think, for myself to find the motivation, me being a new mom and hearing my son just down the hall.
Yeah, I'll chime in real quick too, because to Melissa's point, I think one of the things I first learned when I moved from, being corporate to full-time at home was the loss of, and this is years ago, but was the loss of my commute time to decompress before my family time, right? So you had work and then maybe a 30-minute drive to just kind of process or listen to an Audible book or do whatever. And by the time you walk in the door at home, you've kind of decompressed. And what we're hearing in a couple of these conversations, Melissa, is that people who have lost that are working right until the time they step out of their room or off their kitchen table or whatever. And that's impacting their home satisfaction levels and mental state and relationships because that decompression is gone. And I think that's a big contributor to a lot of that too. Shannon, you might be getting into that. Sorry, I may have jumped ahead, but that was a big one for me to adjust to. And that I think a lot of that were just immediately forced to work from home and lose that may not realize that's a player. Yeah,
absolutely, Chris. I couldn't agree with that more. And I want to, before we get into the recommendations, I also want to go over, according to a McKinsey study, the hardest groups impacted amongst the pandemic so far has been women. We're actually going to be talking about this a lot further, and we put some headlines out there with our Women in Talent meeting. Also working parents, the LGBTQ plus community, and people of color. And the three biggest areas that they're struggling in right now is mental health, household responsibilities, and workload increases. For the LGBTQ plus, they have a fear of isolation, being that they don't have that sense of camaraderie amongst the workforce. So that's really impacted that community. And up to 75% have actually said, now this is the report I gave you was numbers from October, but 75% since the pandemic have started have been burnt out at some point or another. And also this I thought was interesting. JLL, and I want to talk to this if Bill is on from Lockheed, 74% support a 4-day work week. And that's one of the things I want to get into next. Some of the recommendations, this is why I want to put the slide there, that these studies said, and I kind of collaborated it right here, was to talk about burnout with your employees, to mention it, talk about, that it is very real, it happens to all of us. And the more you talk about it, the more you communicate, that helps subside that and bring attention to them so they can be more aware of when they are getting close to it. Also, flexibility at work is a strategy that has been most helpful to productivity and reduction in burnout. Ironically, the majority of the people surveyed felt the biggest benefit from working at home has been flexibility. And also reinforce the need to reach out to professional support, offer resources if you have an employee assistant program, remind employees of financial consultation programs. And also, this was rather interesting. There's several articles out there that are talking about how much people are investing in financial training and resources for their employees, which I thought was a rather interesting recommendation. So I want to come together now. We have about 35 minutes left on this call, and I don't see Bill on, so I will start with Lockheed Martin. I talked to Bill about this yesterday and a couple of their employees. They did a pilot with a 4-day work week, and it worked really, really well. And starting in 2021, they are doing a 4-day work week, which means 10-hour work days, and they'll be off every Friday, which is good for us. To mental note, no meetings on those days. However, they are offering Fridays. You do have the option to work, for example, if you want to use Friday to catch up, if you didn't get enough work done during the week for some reason, if you want to maintain a 5-hour work week, or if you simply, want to use that day and replace it with another one. However, there aren't going to have any like major meetings or any company-wide initiatives or recognize that day as a work week. So I guess that's just kind of thinking of it as a Saturday or Sunday. So that was something that Lockheed Martin is implementing in 2021. I thought that was a rather interesting idea.
Is anybody else doing anything like that? Lynn?
Yeah, we instituted a no meeting Friday, and it was kind of with that same idea that you could take a breath, work on whatever you need to take care of, no meetings. And it's been very popular.
So at Nielsen, they put in what we call a take back time challenge. And so what you do is you pick a day every week where you block 2 hours and you actually call it your take back time. And that's time where you don't respond, you don't take any meetings. Most of the rest of HR is doing Tuesday. I don't know what the magic is of Tuesday. The talent acquisition team is taking Friday afternoons, and the recruiters are really using it to catch up on, candidate experience things and get prepared for the next week. But that's kind of one of the things we're doing.
Melissa, do they just block off the time in their calendar?
Yeah. Yeah. And you make it public so that other people know this is your take back time. Don't invite me to a meeting during this time. I'll just decline.
I like that.
I started I'm retired on Monday some time ago. But I haven't been able to do it as much as I like.
Just go say
Not
Jerry.
for lack of his support system. Can we just say that? It's not for lack of his support system.
Right.
Yeah, so I would love to hear from everyone on this call of, first off, feel free to ask as many questions as you want during this. And also, I would like us to all share what everyone is doing with their teams or what their company is doing to basically increase wellness in the workplace, whether that be physical or mental health.
So when Shannon and I connected earlier this week, I sent her the Thrive Global quiz that they partnered with Salesforce to create. And it gives you a score around things like rest and reflection. And so one of the reasons why I'm exhausted and tired is I'm just not sleeping well. I'll have a night where I get 8 hours of sleep, and then I'll get 4 hours and 10 minutes and I can't go back to sleep. So my whole team took the Thrive Challenge, and now we're challenging each other to start things that are little micro steps to improve, whether it's sleep or working out or eating or focus at work. And this challenge actually includes information on how you can think about those micro steps. So that's something that we're doing at Nielsen on my team.
Yeah, let me share that link too, because I like this quiz. All right, I put the link in the chat.
I wonder if anybody's doing it. So I made a joke about it in the beginning because we have a thread in one of the exchanges about, what are you doing to try to keep your sanity from a physical and mental space. And we've been talking about working out, right? And some people have said they're on their Pelotons, and Grant and I are going to be tonal brothers here pretty soon. Pretty excited about that. Yay, Grant. But I'm just wondering, is anybody else sort of doing a similar challenge like Melissa did, where they issue some sort of wellness challenge? So not just around sleep but just like where your colleagues and teams are keeping each other accountable, not just where you're tasking them to take better care of themselves. Anybody got a program like that?
Yeah. Dell actually has been doing steps challenges. And we've been doing it within our teams and then you can also do your step challenges are, your numbers and your stats are going against other teams within Dell. So making it kind of a fun, competitive, thing for us to be doing right now.
Jennifer, is it a formally introduced thing, or is it something that just kind of organically took off with your colleagues?
Yeah, it's actually a formal program that we do every year, but obviously this year doing it more virtually. Meg, is there another? I know you're in a couple of them. There's the formal program, but then also there's another group too, right? That kind of form themselves.
Yeah, so there's as part of our wellness site, actually, we all have different team member profiles, and you can challenge team members like, hey, colleague, I want to challenge you to a step off this week. Or it could be as short as a 1-day step off. So if you've got a day where you're going to be back-to-back meetings and need that friendly nudge to get up and take a lap in between calls, that's a really great way to do it. And then we also have some just organic team member kind of challenges where, if you have a smart device, you can certainly, take a screenshot and send that, but we also go by the honor system. So if you say that you took 4 laps around the parking lot or something like that, you can still participate and be counted that way.
Well, Carissa, you said had something.
Oh yeah, Edward Jones does the same thing. I wonder if it's a similar system, but we go, I don't know if you've heard of Virgin Pulse, if that's what you use, but that's the software system we use. It's the same concept, but we have challenges, and you actually can win money towards your premium, your medical premium. And so, or just money towards gift cards. I just won a $40 Amazon Prime gift card. So there's incentives, more than just, collaborating with your teams, which is great, but there's also little prizes, which is really fun. So they'll do, steps, just like you guys said, and they'll even do things like health wise, like, are you counting? You'll have different apps that you can connect to the software. I don't know if you've heard of MyFitnessPal, where you count your calories and you watch after what you're eating, but it incorporates not only mental well-being, but also your healthy eating and your physical well-being. They have yoga sessions and meditations on there. It's really nice. I love it. And the more you participate, the more you get prizes. So
cool.
We actually, Chris, have implemented a fitness and health employee resource group as well.
Yeah,
Nice.
very good.
Grant, what kind of resources are they offering? Is it just, are they just sharing resources to the employees, or are they also, they have plans for employees to go to them?
Yeah, good question. So it's a typical employee resource group. An opt-in group of people who, much like we also have women in the workforce work group. We have any one of those, but we have one specifically for people who need and want kind of peer support within fitness. But we also have one of those apps, kind of private label, that you can connect with, and we have challenges and health and recipes and those kind of things. And then when the pandemic started, we have a fitness facility on site, and obviously people can't use that right now. So we we pay basically for everybody to get a premium version of Volt, which is another one of those apps that allows you to, which gives you workouts and will track it's kind of like, I used it and I didn't like it, to be honest with you, but there are several other ones like that too, where you could download it. It would tell you what, use AI to tell you how much to lift, what exercises to do, that kind of thing. So
Fun.
A question just for folks, so our team, a lot of the people have always been remote. So this level of engagement with them is very different than what historically they just have been working from home. And so how are y'all balancing all of what we might be feeling as far as kind of the overwhelming, and just this is very different with I've been doing this for about a decade now and I'm not that. So how does that kind of mixed message resonate, or where do y'all see that?
That's such a good question. So that's how we are at Edward Jones too. And I've been working remote since working remote was the thing to do, but we'll have captains who will go out, and it'll be little support groups. So if anyone has questions or needs support, or, how to do this and this, or how do you time manage, we as team captains are there to support them. And that's what we do.
I really like that idea, because none of us really get coached on how to be remote, let alone how to be face-to-face. And all of that probably makes really good sense as you develop coming into a professional environment. And so to tap into some of the folks in your company who have been remote and been through a few of those landmines of things to do, things not to do, things to watch out for yourself, and how to do workarounds would be, I think, an extraordinary support system within your organization that develops a little bit more community among the folks that don't have those access to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Chris, I find so at EY, a lot of my team, my TA team, has been like me, like you, are used to being remote, or more used to a remote or a virtual setup. But a lot of the benefits, so a lot of what EY did was convert existing benefits into ones that are more remote friendly, so that we're reaping the benefit. So we always had, gym membership, but now it's also virtual gym membership. We always had challenges or fitness challenges. Now we have an app where you can reach out and just challenge one group to another versus just, you know, a random everyone join this national challenge type of thing. So I find it's gotten more virtual and remote friendly than it used to be. I mean, because like so many other things because of COVID, but I think it was a long time, you know, kind of coming or in the making anyway. So that's been a real benefit. And then we've invested in some other newer things like, you know, apps and resources around sleep, mental wellness, meditation, some others. So, and then the last thing I just think, you know, Shannon, that we had, you know, asked me about, there's one thing that we're tapping into the EY population. So we have more than I would have imagined, yoga instructors and Sherpas and I mean like aerobic and like it's unbelievable. Peloton captains that I don't know where they're finding the time to do this. So you know, kudos to them for coming out and saying they can make this work with their EY work. But we're actually featuring them, you know, in different venues. So one practice has a once a week where it's a guest trainer, you know, whatever, meditation leader, etc. And they're almost all EY people, like fully trained and licensed and all that good stuff. So that's kind of neat.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's neat.
Dan, I was going to add to that. We at Gartner have had something similar with meditation sessions. There was actually one at noon today, yoga sessions. And on a smaller scale, Eric and I have taken our team of 10, which are mostly 20 somethings who are used to that social engagement in an office. You know, some have worked from home, some are in an office, and we've spent more time on just team building sessions. Like one was share your favorite Amazon purchase, you know, and everyone was sharing all the fun things that they've purchased during COVID. Eric's on the call. Eric, what are other things we've like recipe sharing? Just opportunities for the team to come together and say, gosh, I'm happy today, or gosh, I'm really sad today, and share and talk to one another. And I think that's supported mental health.
I'm curious too, you know, is anyone doing anything, or their company is doing something to help with childcare, or the fact that, you know, even those of us who are remote or been working remote now have kids at home because they're remote too. I'm just curious to hear how that change in dynamics have taken place.
And we already had some existing caregiving benefits. We get 2 weeks of paid caregiving leave every single year. We also already had paid backup childcare, which you get 200 hours of. It's like $2 an hour for copay childcare. We actually extended that from not only just backup childcare to backup care just in general. So if you have you know, an older individual that you're caregiving for, or someone who isn't necessarily, by your definition, a child, we really kind of extended that to you know, grandchild, whoever might be able to utilize that.
That's awesome.
We you know, similar like the childcare, we extended some more childcare and you know, we had a lot of emergency care. We had some regular care that we added, but another thing which was really great, there's a organization called Girls with Impact, and it's a what they do is they foster entrepreneurship in girls, typically high school and below, and with a focus on grammar school, on things like being a business person, how to start a business, what that looks like, et cetera. And so we offer that, we subsidize that and offer that to all of our EY employees. You know, the normal cost of like a 5-week virtual session would be X. Now it was like half that price, and we offered it to any of our EY friends and any of their connections. So I actually had a couple of people in my town that took advantage of it, and it was good for everyone because they got more signups than they normally would. But it was something to give. At least my daughter went through it, and she had twice a week. She had 2-hour sessions with like real business owners and entrepreneurs that have it. She was so wowed by it, and it was one less, 2 less hours on video games, which was always a plus.
Right.
Dan, what was that called?
Girls with Impact. Yeah, it was really great.
Shannon, I'd like to share a little bit about what Marcia McLennan was doing with the initial kickoff of all this COVID stuff and working remotely. One of the things we wanted to do was get people comfortable with being on a video call. And so we sent out a very quick, you know, learning of here's the tips and tricks on how to use Zoom and all that sort of thing. One of the rules that we instated was don't apologize for your children interrupting. Just don't. It's, we all bought it, we all got into this, involuntarily. So don't ever apologize for your kids and pets. And I have one who bugs me all the time on meetings. The other thing that we did that I think was really impactful is we made a video where one of our marketing ladies did interviews of people, and they were all remote, but she did interviews of people at all different levels in the corporation in all different countries. And she started it with, "How are you?" And then each of them went into a little explanation of what was going on, how did it impact them, I'm going crazy because of my kids, or whatever it was. And it was a really compelling video because you got kind of caught up in the emotions of other people saying, well, I've lost friends, and things like that. And so that video, by the time she, wrapped it up, we're all, doing a little of that. But she said, that's what "How are you" is supposed to evoke from you. Yeah. And then the other thing we did to kind of help everybody get familiar with Zooms again was we had a talent show, and we invited people to come and perform. So we had a guy who was doing magic tricks. We had another guy who played the cello for us. We had a pianist play. We had little kids doing magic tricks. We kind of opened it up. And we let the TA folks invite people in their businesses too, that they represent, so that the businesses got to see some of this too. So our guided meditation turned into a company-wide thing. The yoga is really funny because you'd look at yoga and you'd look on the screen and you'd see all these little kids in the background doing the yoga with their moms or dads. And so that was really cool as well.
I love that.
Hey, Shannon and group at DaVita, I think the thing that made me really proud, we have a disproportionate number of our teammates actually are caregivers and our frontline workers. And so everything kind of like the leadership thought about was how to make it equitable across the organization. And I think the thing that really stood out for me was they gave everyone free premium access to Headspace in the app and talked about using it. And then we've been having, since the beginning of the pandemic, weekly all company calls and really normalize talking about mental health and the resources, like both the resources that DaVita is giving and like what they could get in their communities, and encouraging teammates to share their stories. And then our CEO and other senior leaders re-encouraging like to talk about it. And I think it's really changed the dynamic, and just sharing that, in addition to work, like life is so different and it's okay to say you're not okay. It's been super cool. And then I highly recommend the Headspace app too.
Kelly, earlier in the year before the pandemic actually started, meditation was one of the things I identified that would be potentially helpful for me. And with my team, what I started doing was, even back when we had conference meetings in conference rooms, which seems like forever ago, what I would do is actually add personal reflection or quiet time at the last item on the agenda. And then whatever balance we had at the end of the meeting, I would actually go ahead and drop a Headspace guided meditation on, and whoever wanted to stay would be able to just stay. We would turn the lights off and actually end our meetings with that. And it was nice because I found that by doing that, we were actually making time. We were scheduling and making time, and people tended not to run over on the meetings because a lot of people got really excited about doing that.
Yeah, I like that. That's my favorite part about yoga classes at the end of it, when you get that downtime and you get a little nap in.
Yeah, I love the Headspace app. I've used it for years. It's wonderful.
All right, I have to look into that one. So I have a question for the group too, because I hear this from everyone, including some of you on this call. How do you respond to the question, and Melissa's kind of already answered it, but how do you respond to the question that, I just can't do one more Zoom meeting, or I just can't do one more video meeting? What is your response to your employees when they come to you with that?
Yeah, we've started doing some walking meetings.
Oh,
nice. Let's just both go for a walk. So
that's something that we used to do, and I put my finger on why that stopped as soon as people went into their houses.
Right?
Sitting at a much less comfortable chair and just can't walk outside anymore. Like that's such a great idea, just to go back to that, because we used to do walking meetings on campus and walk outside, and we had a nice campus with trees and by the lake, and so it's just a very nice place to go.
Yeah.
And here it just seems like I can't get away from my desk.
Something that I'll do with team members is I'll say like no video on the call or yes video, so that you can mentally prepare yourself either way if that's going to be part of the conversation. And then also actually taking 5 minutes off of the meeting time, so doing 25 minutes instead of 30, or maybe 50 minutes instead of a full hour. I think mentally for a lot of us, there's such a big difference between a 60-minute time commitment and maybe a 50 or 55-minute. So I think that's been really helpful, especially when you're feeling that I just can't go on kind of feeling.
I love that. I don't think I've heard of anybody doing that, where they just notate whether it's video, no video. But I think, Meg, that's really smart.
One person I worked with that I don't work with regularly, but I was called me and a bunch of their regular teammates to a meeting. It was an hour, and then said, "This is one of those meetings. You get an hour back." So scheduling a meeting for his team, and then says, "No, I'm sure you've had enough Zoom. I did this to book an hour where you can do whatever the heck you want right now, whether that's answering your emails or going for a walk." I was like, "What?" I thought that was amazing.
Yeah,
that's a cool gift.
That.
Yeah, I mean, you can't do it all the time, but especially that first time that you do it. And I thought, now I have to be careful in a global role, because some people will stay up till midnight to jump on a call like 5 in the morning. But for my America's team, it's a godsend.
Gee, thanks for giving me 11 p.m. to midnight back.
Yeah, right, exactly.
You get to go to sleep.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh man, that's great.
I wonder if we're gonna have time to see Dan's sweater light up before the call is over.
Can it light up, Dan?
In case anyone has to drop early, let me get this going here.
Oh yeah.
That's R2D2 at his finest. There you go. Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, okay.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
So I know we are coming up, and Shannon's going to wrap us up here in a couple of minutes. But nobody's shared anything terribly proprietary? Is there any objection to us making this particular Connects call open to the general public? Normally we keep these locked up and they're secured in membership. But is anybody have any feelings one way or the other about us opening this up, so that we can kind of share to the broader audience of what companies and folks are doing to help their employees stay healthy?
I'm trying to think. What did I say?
We'll edit out anything terrible, Melissa.
Okay, thanks.
All right.
Gary, that's a great hat.
I just wanted Dan to feel more comfortable.
I like how Jerry has hats for everything.
Love it.
Oh, there we go.
Not to be outdone, they're finally decent this year.
Go Bills.
Sure. It's 2020 when the Bills and the Browns are having a good year. That's all I gotta say.
And I can't go see him.
Yeah, right.
Headspace is not a problem.
Lori. No, we should definitely have made it more festive for this call. Absolutely love it. Yay, Kelly's got one too. I think you have the same little Christmas tree hat. That's so good. I just want to check in to see if there's anything else or any questions that you have, or any statements that you want to echo from some of your employees, such as Zoom fatigue or anything else that you want to present back to the call.
Right. I think for us, just the biggest one that we really didn't touch on today, but just is such an impactful thing, is the virtual school at home, depending upon whether you're a few days a week, fully virtual, it really is, it's a challenge in really establishing flow throughout the day, and then kind of getting back on track as soon as you're done with that, to then actually start your work day, whenever that may be, at 11 o'clock in the morning or 2, or at different times in there. And so I know for us, just personally, like we're exhausted by the time we finish doing that. And then we're just getting started to go into, project work and Zoom calls and stuff like that. So haven't solved that one. It's still just kind of a big weighty thing that we're working through. And that's for a lot of our teams. Yeah.
I'd say to add on to that too, I mean, my group has been very, very fortunate, myself included. We have had a rash of brand new babies throughout the pandemic. And so there are some people who are transitioning sort of some of their responsibilities through this as well too. And, you know, I don't think there's a playbook necessarily for us. And I have a baby home from daycare right now, right? But I had a direct report who had a baby back in May, and so was able to kind of learn some things from him. But we were also able, because of the pandemic, to do some things like bring in an attempt to take care of his day-to-day work, allow him to extend his parental leave a little bit by finding project work that we wanted to get done anyway, so that he could work that kind of in an asynchronous way around his, you know, whatever it is that he was doing. If he could find 4 hours in the middle of the night, give him something that he could do and eat in chunks that didn't require him to be there. And we were able to really kind of extend some of his parental leave by doing that. So I think that was actually, you know, there's been some benefits as well.
That's amazing. Southwest Airlines, I know they're not a member, but they did the same thing with my husband. We had our baby March 13th, right when the pandemic began, officially. So he was able to take extended leave, which transitioned into paid time off. So that was very, very helpful for us, especially financially, because we spent 43 days in the NICU and that was not cheap. So
good stuff.
Great stuff. Well, I just want to remind everyone, we do have a meeting next week. We have our expertise tomorrow with Frida Polly. We're talking about the new SEC guidelines. Next one, which is unofficially our last CXR get together of the year. And then we are kicking it off right in 2021 with our Women in Talent meeting, where we're going to be focusing on the gender recession and also looking at why and how women are leaving the rate of the workforce that they are right now. And so you can start signing up for those 2021 meetings and of course, play around in the exchanges and see if you guys can notice a little bit of a new addition we added. I appreciate everyone on this call. Thank you so much for making it such a great year. And thank you so much for adding to the overall wellness of this webinar. Well, thank you so much again. I'll talk to you guys soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, team.
Thanks for listening to the CXR channel. Please subscribe to CXR on your favorite podcast resource and leave us a review while you're at it. Learn more about CXR at our website, cxr.works, facebook.com and twitter.com/CareerXroads, and on Instagram at CareerXroads. We'll catch you next time.